Europe tells Trump Iran is not our war. Right, let's see how Reddit reacts to this. So if we organize by best, in fact, let's just organize by top. Right. America has lost any semblance of common sense. First, you threaten to take Greenland, perhaps by force. You tell lies about NATO participation in Afghanistan. You apply tariffs. You talk up Russia's side against Ukraine. You insult leaders. You start a war. You say you don't need any help. You say you've won the war. Then you suddenly ask for help and get angry when you don't get it. No one trusts the US now. Nope. And not now and not for a while either. That damage that's been done by the Trump administration is probably going to take years, if not decades, to correct. I feel very sorry for the next president who comes in, because they are going to be picking up one hell of a mess. Don't forget threatening Canada and statehood, or making Cubans suffer right now, and saying the White House can do whatever they want with Cuba, or the Panama Canal and Venezuela. Yep, America is acting like fucking crazy terrorists right now. Getting ICE to deport Cubans and then threatening to take Cuba, make it make sense. The thing is, not even them can make sense. Not even the administration itself can tell you exactly what's going on and the reasoning behind any of it. It's comedic at best. Right, let's scroll down. What else we've got here? By design. And you offend Canada and suggest you will take us over. I mean, he's definitely going to come back to that. Once he's finished fucking up the Middle East again, he's going to definitely come back to Canada, perhaps to Greenland. You know, you never really know who's going to be the next target, but you know that there will be a next target. He took the tariffs off Russian, put tariffs on Europe, and then expects Europe's support in a war against Russian-backed regime. It's not exactly joined-up thinking. No, it's more like dementia lined up thinking, really. We got some bullet points here. Threatens to annex Canada and make them a 51st state. Check. Threatens to take Greenland by force and by extension start a war with NATO ally. Check. Lie about NATO participation in a war which its own country invoked Article 5. Check. Completely blow up world trade with tariffs because reasons. Check. Throw away 90% of the soft power they have accumulated since World War II by insulting and pissing all over your closest partners and allies. Check. Let Israel blackmail you into supporting them in a war with Iran. Hashtag Epstein Files. Say you don't need help from anybody and can win this can fight this war on your own. Check. Ask for help when you realize you're in over your head and with no exit strategy. Check. Get angry and throw a tantrum when nobody helps you. Big check. Got it. That's a good summary. Yep, very good. Spent entire presidency alienating Europe, yeah. You're going to get what you deserve. Relationships are not one way. He's learning the hard way. Pedo regime insults the Europeans that died during the war on terror, and expected Europe to risk their troops again for an even dumber war. I mean, this is a super dumb war. All wars are dumb, right? But this one might just be the dumbest. Forcing nations after the fact is insane. Good luck, US military personnel. Yeah, good fucking luck. He's going to have a meltdown right after he's done telling us how much they are winning. Yeah, it's always flip-flop. Not our war is diplomatic speak for you made this mess, you deal with it. We in the USA are also telling Trump this is not our war, but he's just diving right on in anyway. Who's going to stop him? Republican-led Congress is allowing it. Yep, well, literally, they're the only ones that could stop him, and they are not. So, what else can we do here? Let's sort by good old controversial. The US is providing very little to Ukraine. Trump doesn't have the cards any longer. Art of the deal, my ass. As an American, I am so glad to see this response. America is like a spoilt, petulant child and has been for a long time. We need to be told no to keep us in line and our heads out of our asses. This is true. Ukraine isn't our war either. Interesting. The difference being is that Ukraine is being attacked, and by that, Russia is threatening the safety of the allies of the US. In this case, it was Israel who has initiated the attack on Iran, which, according to the intelligence of the US from both the Biden administration and that of the Trump, previously said that Israel is nowhere close to making a nuclear weapon. I think that's a typo, but I think he means Iran is nowhere close to making a nuclear weapon. Even though for the last 40 years they've been 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon, actual intelligence, the stuff that you're meant to go by, the people that are actually smart, the people that actually study this for a living, they declared that Iran was nowhere near close to making a nuclear weapon. Also, Trump isn't asking for military equipment or services in his war. He's asking for NATO forces in the Strait of Hormuz, basically endangering the lives of our people, something that should not be granted to this lunatic. And funny that you say Ukraine's war isn't yours, yet Trump jumped at the chance to exchange military support for precious metals from Ukraine. What else we got here? How much does the US give to Ukraine right now? 0. LeMayo, they give a lot more than 0. Not anymore, unfortunately. Yes, they do. This is an intelligent argument. No, Trump doesn't. He hasn't gone to Congress to authorize money for Ukraine at all. All money spent on Ukraine was authorized by Biden and last Congress. The only thing Trump has done is allowed EU countries to buy weapons from the US and then transfer them to Ukraine. Shall we open up some of these hidden ones? What do we got here? Oh, minus 16. I recall massive protests in many different countries about the thousands of protesters Iran murdered and shut off the internet, so they had very little idea of the size of the massacre that was underway. It's everyone's war who cares for the weak and the oppressed. If Khomeini wasn't killed, he'd still be oppressing the people of Iran, and Europeans and Canadians would be protesting for change while letting dictatorships and theocracies flourish. All right, why should we help Israel, who have attacked Palestinian citizens, ousted them from their homes, and blocked trucks that carry food and water for the refugees? Trump has said time and time again that Iran was beaten, begging for an end, and made completely harmless because his army decimated them, according to him, along with their nuclear facilities and capabilities. So why not take his word now after the dozens of lies he has told during this conflict? Besides, he was the one saying our troops were behind the front lines and staying a bit back in Afghanistan. That we never helped the US in their times of need, nor do they need it now, according to him. Then, there is the fact that NATO will act in defense, not offense. I mean, just remember that NATO is a defense pact. It's not an offense pact. Something we almost had to do in Greenland thanks to the US. So excuse me if protests don't translate to participating in a war of our own. What have we got in here? Oh, back to Ukraine. Yep, neither is Ukraine, apparently, lol. Trump made that clear when he removed Russian sanctions before he asked the EU for help. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this only helps Russia try and crush Ukraine. I mean, this is what a Russian asset actually does. And you guys do have a Russian asset in the White House. But then they speak like Ukraine is America's war. Actually, the EU gave them more money than the US, so go away. Indeed. Ukraine didn't attack Russia unprovoked, mate. Yep. It's time to quickly look at history and remember the circumstances of how these wars actually started. Ukraine, a sovereign nation, was invaded and attacked by Russia, just like Iran, a sovereign nation, was attacked and now possibly invaded, I guess you can call the airspace and the seas, invaded by Israel and America. You can draw some parallels there to Russia and America. I mean, you can draw lots of parallels to the leadership in Russia and America, can't you? Yeah. I think we'll leave it there. I mean, we've seen enough. I mean, this has been the news predominantly over the last week of Trump saying he's won the war, but then he wants our help, then demanding our help, then saying he doesn't need it. He's insulting us, but then he begs for help. It's like, it's a bit psychotic, I'm not going to lie. And do you remember when Trump called Starmer and said he's no Winston Churchill? Well, Trump called Starmer no Winston Churchill, which really is interesting because for the leader of a country, you're asking for help. Well, remember when Churchill famously said that the way to win allies is not to ring them up and start a war without telling them and then call them cowards when they don't show up? Yeah, I remember that.